We're going to go to the Kansas City Chiefs, newly acquired Kenneth Walker, over under a hefty 949.5 rushing. Okay, so Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco, and Brashard Smith rushed for over 1,200 yards combined last year. Right now, the depth chart in Kansas City is Kenneth Walker, Emari DeMercado, Emmett Johnson, and Brashard Smith in the backfield. The Chiefs' offensive line, depending on what website you look at, they're all ranked above average. PFF has them ranked 8th. PFF has a lot of faith in them this year. Josh Simons and Creed Humphrey are studs. So, to me, it goes to health. Walker played 17 games last year. He got 221 rushes for 1,027 yards. When it was kind of a split backfield. You've got Mahomes coming back from the ACL. They are not going to want Patrick Mahomes to run at all in the first half of the year. I think they really brought in Walker to take a heavy load this year. 221 rushes is not a lot of wear and tear on the body last year. They do play some tough defenses, but then they have some defenses that he's going to have a field day against. Weeks 2, 3, and 4, he gets the Colts, the Dolphins, and the Raiders. So I think he gets off to a huge, huge start here. I'm going to go with the over on this one. I'm trying to decide whether it's good enough for a client play. I don't think it is because I don't like taking these big numbers on the over. But, man, if this guy plays 15 or 16 games, I think they lean on him pretty heavy, especially early on, and he gets some good matchups. Don't be surprised if he's halfway to this total by week 6, maybe even week 5. So we'll see. But I really like Kenneth Walker to have a good year. Fantasy-wise, I don't know where I stand on him because I don't know if he's going to be the true goal line back or if there's going to be short passes to Travis Kelce. But yards-wise, I think he'll be good. I have not drafted him in any mocks, but I think Kenneth Walker has a nice year for the Chiefs. You have him. I have the number 3 pick in fantasy. Would love to see him in round 2. In round 2, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that'd be good. That's about where he went in my big draft. Christian McCaffrey, and his number is 949.5 rushing. I'm not going to talk about the electrical thing next to that's not a part of the breakdown for the 49ers. But what is the breakdown is he played all 17 games last year. 311 carries, that's a career high, and 102 catches. This guy had 413 touches. That is a lot for a guy who's got some injury history. 2025 played 17 games, 2023 played 16 games, 2022 17 games, and he cleared 1,100 rushing yards in that season. So when he plays all the games or close to it, he goes over. The offensive weapons for the 49ers, they have a ton of injuries. They are going to lean on McCaffrey a lot in the first part of the season. They do not have a deep bench of running backs there. I think they're going to work him a little bit too hard out of pure necessity, and I don't trust him to stay healthy after 413 touches. I don't have faith in that, so it's going to be an under for me. 949.5 seems a little bit too much, but honestly, that's about where you have to put the number at, because if you try and put out a number where an injury is baked into the line, you're just going to get smoked if he goes over it. So it'll be a lean to the under at 949.5. Running back Wednesday, we're going to the Giants, not the Cardinals, the Giants with Cam Scattebo. I went with his touchdowns prop over under 6.5. Dan, I'm coming to you first. What's your thoughts on this one?
I'm pretty bullish on the Giants as a whole, to be quite honest with you. I mean, Harbaugh coming in, it can't be a net negative, right? I think there was some clear dissension in the locker room last year. Dable kind of seemed like he was a bit of a lame duck coach that they were going to be moving on from sooner rather than later. So I think some positivity heading in. Now, that being said, don't watch the video of John Harbaugh hyping up the team. The New York Giants. We're the New York Giants. Well, agnostic from all of that, Cam Scattebo is a player that last year burst onto the scene. I mean, fantasy players know this was the guy who was a must start once he finally started getting opportunities. And as long as his recovery has gone as well as it looks like it has, since he's doing backflips at WWE events, dear God, John Harbaugh got mad at someone for bowling once. I wonder how that one went over in the locker room with Scattebo doing backflips. That does tell me, though, Andy, a guy who has nothing in his brain other than run forward, run through people. This is a guy who seems like his rehab went well. It was a gruesome injury that he had, one of the grosser ones that we saw last season. And it seems like the rehab has gone well. I think this is all about opportunity for Cam, because I don't have the numbers directly in front of me right here, Andy, but this is a guy who scored, I believe, 5 touchdowns last season in a very limited amount of work. He really wasn't, the lead back until he seized that role, that breakout game against the Philadelphia Eagles. This just feels too low. Again, I know that it's 6.5. He had 5 last year. The usage will be higher for him. He's going to be their goal line back. He's a bruiser. And for all intents and purposes, this is a Giants team who is looking for stars. They want to sell jerseys. They want to have teams or players to believe in. They want nothing more than Jackson Dart and Cam Scattebo to work out. So the work's going to be there for Scatty. 7 touchdowns. As long as he stays healthy, Andy, I think this one feels too low. I think you're looking at more like 10 touchdowns for Scattebo this season.
Yeah, I picked this one for a reason because I think there's a lot of ways that you can attack his props here. So yeah, only played 8 games and had 5. Now 3 were in one game. So it wasn't like he was getting one every single game. This bruising running style, listen, this is not going to work for a long career, but we're just focusing on 1 year. What's interesting is his injury was not from like running into people. It was just a freak injury coming across the middle for a pass. So he didn't get hurt with what his style was. I go back to Isaiah Pacheco. When he broke his leg, the Chiefs brought him back in the same season. And he was never the same. Like he wasn't good in that season and he wasn't the same. And now he's a backup.
Never. Yep.
I like that he didn't come back in the season but he is far enough away. I think he's close to healthy. The other good thing about this, Tyrone Tracy's a really good running back. Like he could be a starter on some teams. Devin Singletary's a good 3rd round back. So I don't think they're going to be using him as much as people might think, which I think is a good thing for this particular prop. I don't trust Jackson Dart in the slightest with how he played last year. I don't trust that guy as far as I could throw him or as far as he could throw a ball. But here's the thing. What if he just gets 10 to 12 carries a game at the start just to keep him fresh?
That's all you need.
But man, when they get on the goal line at home, that crowd will go ballistic when he comes onto the field. He's he's got the perfect pedigree for a goal line back. I think they want to get him TDs. If this was a yards prop, I'd go under. But TDs, I think he's built for this role. So I would think he gets over this number as well. I just think it was such a freak injury. I don't think he's going to have anything like that happen this year. And he made it through 8 games with that bruising style, and I think he's going to get limited carries and be on the goal line. So I don't think that's out of line. I don't think that if he plays all 17 games and he's their goal line back, absolutely.
The point being made, Rob, is I think that this offense will be at least as capable as they were last year. Like they were scoring points, you know what I mean? And Scattebo, as Andy Reid, I see him playing that same exact role. Does this mean that he's going to be a 1,000-yard rusher? No, but we're talking about a guy who will get the goal line work and can run through people. So I'm not betting 10 plus touchdowns, anything like that, but the point that I'm trying to make is 6.5 is too low for how I line this guy. I think this number should be more like 7.5. Honestly, I would even still be leaning over if it's sitting at 8.5. So that's the point that I'm making, Rob. I think Scattebo will be a good, like one of those, everybody loves those anytime touchdown parlays. I think he's a guy who I'm going to have on some anytime touchdown bets throughout this season.
I agree completely. So, all right, we got the over on Cam Scattebo. This guy has done great for me in fantasy. Last year was his breakout. So James Cook is not a secret anymore. If you look at the fantasy rankings, he's an easy 1st round pick. but we're going to take a look at his rush total, 1,249.5. Monster total. So Buffalo finally really leaned big into James Cook last year. 309 carries for 1,621 yards rushing. That is 102 more carries than the previous years. 207 2 years ago and 237 the year before that. Average 5.2 yards per carry. This was an offensive line that did a lot of good work for him in the running game. Not so much in the passing game. Josh Allen took a lot of sacks. Josh Allen's rush attempts remain very consistent each year. He had 112 last year. He had 102 before that. He had 111 before that. So I don't see Josh Allen taking a lot of work away from James Cook because of these rushing totals that he just consistently has each year. Ray Davis, only 58 carries last year. And what's interesting here about this one is Ty Johnson is now kind of their pass catcher. He was really good. We were betting on him over 1.5 catches towards the last part of the year and over some of his yards. So let's take a look at this from a James Cook used to be, you played his rushing and receiving. I think we're looking at James Cook as more of just a rusher. He can catch the ball, but in pass catching situations, they're bringing Ty Johnson. So James Cook is focusing more on the run. I'm going to lean the over on this one. This one is such a big number. You can't have any injuries here. If he's averaging 5 yards a carry again, even if he plays 15, 16 games, I think he goes over this one, but you just need a lot to go right. And in an NFL long season, just trying to bet on these guys to go over their big numbers. If they tweak an ankle or a hamstring and they're out 4 games, your over ticket's dead in the water. So we'll see what he does. I would love to draft him in my fantasy leagues again, but I could get him in the early second round last year in most of my leagues. So James Cook, love him as a player. The number's just a touch too high. I might look at his touchdown total going over. He was their goal line back. Josh Allen's always going to be in the mix, but I think the James Cook is still going to be a good fantasy option, a good guy to bet on in the props market. So let's break down this Blake Corum. I dug into this and I really like it. So the previous years, 58 carries for 207 yards in 2024, 17 games, up to 145 carries for 746 yards in 2025, averaged 5.1 yards per carry. So we look at who he's behind, Kyren Williams. Now, Kyren had 259 carries for 1,252 yards. So Kyren is the unquestioned starter, but they did bring in Corum at a much higher usage rate than in 2024. Look at the offensive line. The Rams have a top offensive line. It's one of the top 10 ones. Now, Kyren has been pretty durable. 17 games last year, 16 games in 2024. So it's not like Blake Corum has got an injury-prone running back in front of him. I think he can get over this total even if Kyren does not miss any games. And if Kyren does miss a few games, maybe even at the end of the season, if the Rams have a solidified playoff spot, Corum could smoke this number. If you get Blake Corum on 2 starts where Kyren's out, I think this cashes easy. Even if Kyren doesn't miss time, I think he can get to 140 carries or more. And if he's averaging 5 yards a carry, even lower it to 4.9, I think there's a lot of paths of victory to get to the over. I really, really like this total. I don't like taking big overs on, a Justin Jefferson. His number is going to be, 1,100 yards. Just everything has to go right. But there's a lot of things that could go right for Blake Corum in this offense. So I'm in on this one. I'm bullish on this play. This is a client play worthy. So Blake Corum over 674.5 rushing yards. The other one that I would deem client worthy that Dan and I agreed on is the Browns under 5.5 wins. Javonte Williams over under 9.5 rushing touchdowns. I forgot to completely look and change the graphic, Dan. It has them listed as the playing for the Broncos. My bad. Well, that skipped that skipped it. So I'll go first. He had 11 last year in the first year with the team. He does seem to be durable. 16 games last year, 17 the year before, 16 the year before that. My big thing is he literally has no competition for goal line carries. When they get inside the 5 and someone's getting carries, it is Javonte Williams. I went and looked up the offense, where they stand right now. Boy, this offense really could be dynamic with lots of points. On paper, they have a good schedule for him to have some multiple touchdown games. Giants, Commanders twice, Cardinals, Colts, Titans, Jags. I was reading a local article about Tyler Guyton at left tackle, which could really boost the offensive line and give them that stability they need. They could be looking at more 2 tight end sets with the emergence of Spanford as a blocking tight end. And good way to protect Dak is to get the running game going. I think I'm in on the Cowboys offense. I would really like to get Javonte Williams in my fantasy leagues. You're always depending on health, but he did it last year. I think he can do it again. This is a really, really good offense with a pretty pretty good schedule. I'm in on the over on this one, Dan.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, this is a guy who had 11 touchdowns last year. Now he's had 22 in his career, so half of his career touchdowns came in the last year. Does that mean it's an outlier year, or is this guy as legit as it comes? I mean, 1,200 yards last year, Andy, speaks for himself. And the Cowboys quite obviously were tired of just doing like this running back by committee thing that they had been doing essentially, since they lost Zeke. They've kind of just been in running back no man's land. So now I think the move, bringing in a guy who goes over 1,200 yards, who has over 10 touchdowns last year, this is a clear signal that like they want him to be their guy. As Andy said, this number factors in health. This number factors in him being around. But what? We're worried that Malik Davis and Jaden Blue are going to cut into the work here for Javonte Williams. I'm not. Barring another big ad, I think your handicap on this is perfect. Goal line carries. And this is an offense that showed last year they can go up and down the field on people. Now in the second year under Shoddy, I think they're only going to be a bit stronger. A lot of folks like them here in the NFC East. So if you like them in the NFC East, you figure that they're going to be scoring. If they're scoring in bunches, Javonte Williams, this would only be an over bet for me because I think his floor is around 10 touchdowns, to be honest with you. I'm with you. I'm in on him on DFS. I'm in on him in fantasy leagues. You want a running back who doesn't have competition around him, and I just don't see where that competition comes from. So Javonte Williams, I'm with you, Andy. Back-to-back days, we're agreeing on these. Let's go over the 9.5 rushing touchdowns. We were on the under Rome Odunze receiving yards. And Jaden Blue is good. Don't get me wrong.
He's good. Javonte's good around the goal line. He's a good goal line back, and he's just going to get the carries. I think Jaden Blue gets mixed in for just some spells here or there. They work him into the mix. Good for 5 to 8 carries, depending on where they're at in the field and what the score is of the game. But once they get in close,